Hi everyone, my name is Stephanie from Stephanie's Book Reviews. Thank you for clicking on my YouTube channel. Well, today is Friday, November 8th, 2019, and my review and personal takeaway is on the 2013 nonfiction book David and Goliath, Underdogs, Misfits, and the Art of Battling Giants by author Malcolm Gladwell, who was himself an underdog. This book is 471 pages in the large print version. Wow, this well-written book covers some big issues but in a flowing way. There are plenty of engaging real-life stories and interesting dramatic research to illustrate points. Even if you are not a fan of nonfiction, just pick a spot and start reading. You may get very involved for a while. Well, before getting into the meat and potatoes, or tofu and potatoes, of this book, a word first about the author. I had read the book first and written most of what I wanted to say before I decided to look the author up online. One of the first options that came up was net worth. Well, in case you're curious, this author's net worth, which I assume is from writing based on his bio, is $30 million. Yes, $30 million from writing nonfiction books. Who knew? I liked the book and recommend it, but had no idea how well received the author's 6 books are. He is also a writer for The New Yorker magazine since 1996. By the way, there are 2 really good videos on YouTube of the author Malcolm Gladwell. One is of his actual speech of the David and Goliath from the Bible, and the other, believe it or not, is his interview with Larry King. There are actually a lot of good video interviews on YouTube with the author. Maybe that is a part of the reason a lot of his books get sold. Okay, back to the rest of the review. This book's premise, in my opinion, is about the law of diminishing returns, meaning beyond a certain point, what has been helpful ceases to be, and can even become detrimental. That an alternative is the best choice in those circumstances. For example, class sizes of 18 to 24 are ideal. Despite popular belief, research and anecdotal stories in the book show that diminishing class sizes are not usually engaging or better, and increasing class sizes can become chaotic. Also, based on studies, for most college students, going to a less prestigious college or university where you can be a bigger fish in a smaller pond can make the difference in A, graduating in your chosen field or at all, and B, in your retaining your excitement and interest in your field in the first place. This part is not in the book, but according to the movie Vice, Dick Cheney had been kicked out of Yale University, but later graduated from the University of Wisconsin with mediocre grades. Maybe that was a help instead of a hindrance in him becoming a multimillionaire CEO of Halliburton, and then U.S. Vice President, where he pretty much ran the country under President George W. Bush, who interestingly graduated from Yale University. Again, this part was not in the book. An example used in the book is of a top high school science student who chose to attend Brown University instead of the University of Maryland and dropped out after 2 years because of extreme competition. On top of all that, she lost her excitement for science altogether. Beyond a certain point, the prestige of the school became a detriment. To be brief, 2 other examples in the book include 1. A low-skills basketball team of middle school girls who used an uncommon way of playing to defeat highly skilled opponents from prestigious schools. And 2. The great art impressionists of the 1880s in France who created their own art movement and marketplace to go from poverty to gain eventual fame and fortune. These are examples given in the book in the first section entitled The Disadvantage of Advantages and the Advantage of Disadvantages. Page 81 sums it up with 2 sayings related to the disadvantage of wealth. 1. Wealth contains the seeds of its own destruction, and 2. Shirt sleeves to shirt sleeves in 3 generations. Read the book for further discussion on that. The second of 3 sections is entitled Desirable Difficulty. One main example in the book is what is called remote misses. People far from destruction gain a confidence and security and lose fear during war when not killed or affected directly. The author talks about the millions of people in London not terribly affected by the bombs that killed 40,000 people during World War II and affected thousands more called near misses. But millions of British who were remote misses attained what U.S. President at the time, FDR, said to the U.S., quote, "We have nothing to fear but fear itself." A completely different example also in the book David and Goliath is of a study done where subjects were asked to read something and then answer questions. Just by making the typeface of the questions smaller and lighter, thus more difficult to see and read, the answers improve significantly. But if the print becomes illegible, that is an example of extreme diminishing return. There is a large section on specific famous and wealthy CEOs and celebrities who overcame the reading disability of dyslexia by focusing on developing their listening, organizing, and persuasive speaking skills, instead of giving in to frustration and low self-esteem. There are other real-life examples given and researchable studies noted as well under this section entitled Desirable Difficulty. The third section is entitled The Limits of Power, which is basically all about the inverted U, which is a type of bell curve. You know, like a learning curve where most people fall somewhere in the middle? Probably like most things in life. An example given in the book is of a low-crime city in Canada that had a police strike. The crime rate went skyrocketing during this time of no law enforcement. The book goes on to make the case, with interesting stories and studies, that having no penalties is ineffective, some penalties work, and too much is detrimental. It discusses what led to the 1990 passage of Proposition 36, otherwise known as the Three Strikes You're Out Bill, which was a crackdown on crime in California, and its eventual repeal in 2012. Well, in conclusion, referring to all three sections, the book seems to suggest that overcoming frustration and fear, searching alternatives instead of continuing in a direction that gradually stops working, and then focusing on goals usually leads to confidence and then success, or beating the odds, or beating whatever your Goliath is. Like I said before, this is an engaging and well-written book. Of course, I recommend it. The examples and explanations are clear and flow along. You'll learn much without even realizing it. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please feel free to comment below or click the like button if you liked the video or found it useful. Also, feel free to subscribe. I appreciate all of it. Thank you again for watching. My name is Stephanie from Stephanie's Book Reviews, and I'll see you again on the next video.